I call to order the regular meeting of the Mount Pleasant City Commission, Monday, June 22nd, 2026 at 7 p.m. Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Mount Pleasant City Commission recognizes the Anishinaabe, whose ancestral lands the city stands upon today. We acknowledge the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe and recognize that the three bands of Ojibwe, Saginaw, Black River, and Swan Creek, have resided on this land for over 200 years. Our acknowledgement of the full history of the tribe and our commitment to be good stewards of these ancestral lands is an expression of gratitude and appreciation to those ancestors who came before us. We give thanks to the generous care with which the Anishinaabe and those members of the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe of Michigan have given and continue to give to this land and our community. Clerk Schmelzer, please call the roll.
Commissioner Alsager,
Here.
Commissioner Demarath,
Here.
Commissioner Perschbacher,
Here.
Commissioner Rollins,
Here.
Commissioner Skiletsky, Vice Mayor Eke,
Here.
Mayor Wingard.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, first item on our agenda this evening, we have proclamations and presentations, and we have an introduction of building official Corey Donnell by Director of Community Services Phil Biscorner.
All right, so I am pleased to welcome Corey Donnell to the city. So Corey spent 22 years in the construction industry, built residential home for 17 of those years, and he spent the last 7 years as the building official / building inspector, and comes to us from the city of Lansing. Corey and his wonderful wife love spending time with their 4 amazing kids at sporting events, working in the yard or the garden. We've been super lucky too that we still have Brian Kench on staff, and so we've been throwing a lot at Corey. So I'm sure he's probably seeing a lot right now, but it's definitely been nice to have Brian Kench still here, kind of showing him the ropes too. So, you want anything? Say anything?
No, I'm just happy, thankful for the opportunity to serve this community. Brian's leaving, some big shoes to fill, but I'm really excited about this opportunity. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And real quick, I just wanted to plug the 250th if my phone will cooperate with me. So we have our 250th celebration coming up on August 22nd. Right now, the times are between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. That includes a free 5K, live music throughout the day, drum circle and presentation from the tribe, a time capsule, some children's activities, rock wall, inflatables. Market for the Arts is also that weekend. There's self-guided tours, which are being organized by the Historical Society. And then we're also trying to get some live demonstrations too. So there's still a few things in the works, but we have quite a bit already going on. So
Very exciting. Thank you, Phil.
Excellent.
At this time, we'll move into additions and deletions to the agenda. Are there any items that members of the commission would like to have removed or added to the agenda at this time? Okay, not seeing any. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved. I second.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Alsager to approve the agenda as presented, seconded by Vice Mayor Eke. All those in favor of approving the agenda, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please indicate by saying nay. Motion passes. That'll bring us to public input on agenda items. You are a member of the public and would like to speak on any item that is on the agenda, please step up to the microphone and form a queue. Please state your name and address for the record, as well as what item you are speaking on. If you are using Zoom, please use the raised hand feature to indicate you would like to speak. Are there any emails at this time? And we have one person coming up. Again, please feel free to form a queue. Keeps the meetings moving.
Hello, everybody. My name is James Marino. I live at 316 South Arnold. And I'd like to comment on the public comment on, the discussion on the future of the former Mount Pleasant Center property. First of all, I'd like to say, as far as I know, the purpose of the purchase by the city of the property was to increase the tax base of Mount Pleasant, since that's quite limited. I'd also like to say that some of my constituents, well, actually farmers, have suggested that the very back end of the center be a agricultural product center for processing their beef and all that stuff, and I know some of the ideas for that piece were commercial in front, housing in the middle, and then like the farm thing on the back, because that, and one of the main issues that I've heard you talk about is affordable housing. Could be like housing for starting families, then have the doctors and whatever services those people in front, and a lot of other cool things. I do know the law was that once the city bought it and all the money they put into it, should they sell, would be reimbursed. But I'm urging you to be patient. I am going to talk to people in Lansing, which I already have. I've talked to Senator Roger and also Jerry about, they told me that the next process to make it happen would be to pass a law to change things. And so even if they don't do it, I'm going to talk to Representative Emily Doofendorf. She's on the Agriculture Committee. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that the law is passed and that that can go on the tax roll of Mount Pleasant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Marja Notstein, 1361 South Crawford Street. Sorry, I wasn't at the last commission meeting, but today I'm referring to the June 22nd letter from Aaron DeSantis to the City Commission, talking about the third bullet point in Part 8, where it talks about solar development. Now, I think that's a wonderful idea. I don't see anything wrong with using it for that. My own one question about selling the property or giving the property back to the tribe is, what will the tribe be able to build on that property if the Chippewa Nation holds the deed? Does it change what can be built on that property? It's just a question that I don't know the answer to, and I don't know. I haven't heard it spoken about. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any raised hands on Zoom? Okay. Not seeing anyone else step up to the microphone at this time. I'm going to go ahead and close public comments on agenda items. Now bring us into receipt of petitions and communications. Manager Sense, if you would.
Receipt of petitions and communications includes the minutes of the Planning Commission regular meeting and work session from May, correspondence from resident regarding Tenant Rights Committee, and Council of Governments agenda from June.
Okay, thank you. That'll then bring us into consent items. Manager Sense again, if you would.
Consent items this evening includes approval of the minutes from the regular meeting held June 8, 2026. Consider authorization for the Mount Pleasant Police Department to enter into an agreement with Axon Technology through December 1, 2036, and authorize Director of Public Safety Paul Laurie to execute the contract, and approval of payrolls and warrants.
Working with this, are there any items that members of the commission would like moved from the consent agenda into the regular agenda at this time? Or are there any questions on any of the items? I would myself like item number 6, the Axon Technology contract moved into the regular agenda, just so we can have some additional conversation. I would like to just, as an advance to Director Laurie, I don't want him worrying or anything. I am interested, but just have some additional discussion questions I wanted to raise. So we'll approach item number 6 as the second item, or we'll do that as the second item in new business. So we'll go the discussion of the former Mount Pleasant Center property first, and then move to the Axon Technology contract. Okay. As I am the one who made the amendment,
So it would be 8, 9 then, technically.
if you want to go through and amend the numbers, yes.
Okay.
But we'll be,
Just for clarity.
yeah. For clarity's sake, let's continue to reference it as item number 6, though, so that way on the printed agenda, a person could easily refer to what item we were speaking about.
Okay, 6. 6 after 8.
6 after 8, yeah.
Sounds good.
Let's see. As I was the one who made the modification to the agenda, I would then I'm going to make the motion to approve the consent agenda as modified.
I'll second.
Gotcha. Motion made by Mayor Wingard, seconded by Vice Mayor Eke. All those in favor of the approval of the consent agenda as modified, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. All right, that brings us into new business. First item is a discussion on the future of the former Mount Pleasant Center property. So starting us off before handing it over to Manager DeSense to give us some more background information. Members of the commission would see that I had included a memo with some potential action, a potential course of action for us to consider and take if that was a desire we wanted to, if that was a direction we wanted to head in. Let's see. So working with this again, my memo just primary thing it highlights was the takeaways that I had from the work session that we previously had on this topic. Three topics being cooperation with the tribe, recreational opportunities, and potential revenue generating options as items of interest for us to approach. From the discussion and from my rewatch of the minutes, it seemed at the time that there was potentially a majority who were interested in proceeding with returning a large portion of the property to the Saginaw Chippewa Indian tribe, and that is where again the motions that, or the questions that I lay out to the commission, that is where those stem from. If that majority was indeed there, that is a course of action we could consider. Of course, again, we are welcome to make any kind of motion and continue to set direction and discussion as the commission sees fit. So that is what I wanted to discuss on that front. Again, if we wanted to continue with the pursuit of returning the property, we'd want official motions, I think, because versus the informalness of a work session. That's a key there for myself. Question on that, Commissioner Alsager, or comment?
Well, when I was looking over the 3 options, I was being mindful of all the money that Mount Pleasant put into that property. And so I was leaning towards the idea of, as mentioned by one of our speakers, building a solar farm on the property.
Gotcha. Vice Mayor Eke?
Give. I think part of the complication, or at least the conundrum that I have, and perhaps we have, is the restriction imposed on us by the state requirement. If that restriction were not there, all of these things are possible. But there's the restriction that says we can't, we have to, it has to be for public use, and we can't really make money, out of the property. And that's the challenge. I recall at a certain point, maybe a very early discussion or conversation, I did ask about the possibility of constructing some housing there. And County Commissioner Moreno just talked about that. And I asked that question because I do know communities or cities outside this country where I have done research, I've spent time, where the municipality constructs, builds affordable housing, at least for people as starter homes, or for people who need temporary housing before they can find something permanent. And in that case, it's, affordable, it's for public use in the sense that, the rent is very, very, manageable. And I wondered how we could do that if that were a possibility. And to hear a commissioner talk about something like that right now makes me think that we should also consider that as a possibility. If we can't do that, then I do like the idea, of course, again, it's not in here, propose that a portion of it, I think in the bullet item 1, when we discussed it, it was either to convey the property in part or in whole. I like the in part section in the sense that we can retain a certain percentage of that property, use it for public use, athletics, park, we can talk about that later on, as opposed to the entirety of that particular, property. That is, if we cannot use it any other way but to hand it back or just simply have it sitting there. So I would like us to include that in our conversation. My problem with the solar development is the implications of a certain kind of earning that will come in, and how that would again trigger the language of the state. And that's where, that's what I'm worried about. I think these are all possible, possibilities, but I do think that we should consider some of those possibilities that we have not discussed and that have been presented to us, just, right now, that I at least have brought forward at a certain point.
Commissioner Demarath.
Yeah. I like solar. I think at least a portion of the property should be considered for that. I think when we look at Michigan, you're looking at a state that is not able to produce enough energy for itself, and we rely highly on natural gas and coal and nuclear. Only about 12 to 15% of the state's energy comes from renewable energies. And I think if we're going to look at the state in general and how we can sustain itself, we have to look at that at a local level and what can we do at a local level. And if we have the opportunity to do that at a local level, I think we should definitely explore it. And I do think, especially the nature of the property and what is buried there, there should be parts of it that go to the tribe. I think that that is an important aspect that we should not overlook. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Okay. Other members of the commission who haven't had a chance to speak yet at this time? Not seeing any managers.
Question.
Oh, yeah, Vice Mayor.
I do recall that At the meeting during which we discussed this item comprehensively, there's a sense in which we suggested that manager dissents at least have a conversation with the tribe, at least, to sense out, their interest. I'm curious about that, the manager doesn't have to reveal the entirety of the conversation, but at least give us a sense of, what his contact with the tribe resulted in.
Yeah, conversations with the tribe had indicated that they would be interested in receiving a whole or portion of the property.
Okay. Cool. In that case, if we were to go with something to do with the tribe, I would like to see, a portion of it conveyed to the tribe.
Okay.
A portion at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Commissioner
Um,
Demrow.
In kind of looking at this use, I don't know if it was in the packet, but we had talked about the potential use for like composting. If that is something that could also be explored, I think that would be a benefit to residents in the city, especially if we're talking about parks and recs, you can make your own soil for things. And I think that is just one thing that we could do as a city to make us a little bit more sustainable. So if that's an option.
Gotcha. Okay. Again, returning to, by jumping in here, one of the, appreciate members of the commission like engaging with this as a regular session item versus a work session, as we continue to have like ideas that are put forth versus, we're just debating a single motion. My takeaways, again, just from general consensus that I seen, not consensus, but a seeming majority that may have started to form during the work session was that interest in the return of the full property, or a portion of the property. And I believe a takeaway and action item was not just to direct manager sent solely to speak with the tribe, but also to engage in some kind of more formal dialogue with them on that. That's where, again, part of it, bringing it back to regular session, because I would want to be certain of what are our interests and like what is the clear direction we're proceeding with if we're having formal conversations. That's my big thing there. I felt it would be difficult to have a formal conversation with representatives without having, like, again, on paper, this is a direction we want to pursue. Not that we are doing this, but this is what we're pursuing at this time. So that's where I was bringing this back to the commission at this time. In regular session versus a work session. Interest from members of the commission. I have a couple of, as we continue to talk about this, all or portion or part continues to be something that I hear a theme in. I've heard 3 other members of the commission speak at this time. Is that something that we are comfortable including as like an initial part of what we're working on as far as a direction to pursue of returning some portion of the property?
Yes. I'll support that.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so discussing this again, potentially identifying a portion of the property which could be conveyed. So pulling that back up. The member of the commission has the memo in front of them. Oh, nope, I got it back up here. It's page 21. Let's see. Yeah, so a question that asking is, should the city commission pursue returning all portions of the Mount Pleasant Center property within its powers to do so to ownership of the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe? Let's see. Should the commission? Let's see. Asking members of the commission who had interest in not necessarily themselves being being part of like a liaison committee as had discussed in the memo, but as I'm speaking, I'm working on drafting a motion potentially to keep us moving along on this topic. Hence my questions to the members of the commission. Would a potential liaison committee, for those members who are interested in having formal conversations with the tribe, smaller portion of the body speaking, would that be something that would be, as members of the commission think about what would a conversation look like between the two entities, would a liaison committee be sufficient or accomplish that goal, or would be interested in more of the entirety of the body in a more public meeting? Yeah, Commissioner Perschbacher.
I think that Manager DeSenza is perfectly capable of bringing that to the tribe again and then reporting back to us. I don't see the need for us to have a liaison committee from our committee. I do think that we have to explore these options deeper. Like Vice Mayor Eke said, can we actually produce revenue from like a solar panel field? Could we do all three of these options? You know, what would that look like? So I think that what we should do is throw it back into the staff's lap and say, put together some plans that would show either all three of these together, one at a time, what those implications, talk to the attorney, make sure that we're not going to be doing something that is going to come back on us, or we're not thinking about it. The fact that County Commissioner Moreno talked about possibly, you know, working with the legislator to change some laws would be very helpful as well. It would be great if we could produce housing on that land, but as it stands right now, we cannot. So I would like to see all three options in various forms, all three together, maybe two of them together, one, and give us an idea of what that would look like.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Yeah, Vice Mayor Eke.
I agree with Commissioner Perschbacher. I think right now we are really at what I would consider an exploratory stage. You know, we've just started talking about this. It is significant property. It has historical implications. It probably has spiritual implications for some people, for the tribe. You know, considering the history of that particular place. So I do think that, you know, we should give ourselves some grace, some time to work through this. As, you know, Commissioner, my colleague has said, explore all these possibilities and then make a really informed decision. I don't want to rush into this. You know, my instinct would be give it to the tribe and then we're done, right? But, you know, there are all these other possibilities, okay? So let's explore what is possible. And I would still, you know, say that staff should consider the return of part of it, you know, part of the land, you know, to the tribe as a gesture of goodwill and historical healing and good neighborhood. We have very good relationship with the tribe. And we do know that the tribe is doing something with the rest of the property that is there right now. The tribe is trying to rehabilitate it or recover it. And so its plans include, you know, possibility of expansion. So maybe that's something that in the conversation, manager dissents, we could put all of that into consideration to see what part of the land they may be interested, in. If we can't give them all of it, right? What part might be useful to them. That's my position right now. We explore and then we come back.
I agree.
Okay. All right. Working with that then, putting it to members of the commission, I think I know the answer, but we are in regular session, so I want to put this back to us. Again, restating from the last work session, there was seemingly a majority with an interest in a specific direction to proceed with. This additional conversation has been useful here. So again, we can either treat this as just an additional work session that I believe Manager DeSense has some additional notes. We could make a motion, potentially a motion for further direction also if we want it. I'm thinking in this case, if we wanted to, we could do a motion to direct Manager DeSense or empower Manager DeSense to have, again, additional conversation. But again, I'm looking around here, I'm thinking that treating this as just an additional work session could be sufficient if members of the commission aren't interested in a motion at this time. If we're just interested in continuing talking, we can just continue talking essentially.
Right. I don't think we would need a motion to direct manager DeSense to follow up.
It would or wouldn't?
We wouldn't need
We
that.
wouldn't need it?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, we could just advise him to follow up. I mean,
Gotcha.
why would we need a motion?
Essentially, it's finding out, again, if there's clear items that we wanted to pursue. I feel that a motion from the commission would essentially be setting a specific direction, either on a specific item, if that's solar, if that's housing, if it's a conveyance of a portion of the property. Having us give a specific direction in a motion versus a work session, which has different interpretations based off the person listening. So if it's not felt as necessary, then it's not necessary.
I don't think it's
I don't think
necessary.
it's necessary.
Yeah.
It's just advising him to
Yeah.
Information finding. I mean, that's
Mhm.
basically it.
Okay.
I agree. I think, again, at this exploratory stage, we're just gathering information. We need to see what it looks like, and then we can begin to discuss those individual pieces. Because right now, I don't know what it looks like. We don't know what it looks
Mhm.
like. So let the staff gather the information. We don't need a motion, just ensure.
Okay.
I don't think so, but
No, I think that's good. We can end this item with no motion. That works perfectly fine. Looking over to Manager DeSense, there's been additional conversation here. Do you feel you have sufficient feedback to continue this conversation to report back to the city commission on?
Yeah, just a nod of heads here, just to make sure, because as of right now, then I've listed out 7 different options. If we take the different uses that we've discussed today, which is conveyance, recreation, or revenue generating, you either have option 1, which is all of conveyance, option 2, all recreation, option 3, all revenue generating. Option 4 would be conveyance and recreation. Option 5 would be donation and revenue generating. Option 6 would be recreation and revenue generating. And option 7 would be all of those 3. Just to clarify, that is what the city commission is looking for. We could draft what that would look like, try to come up with some numbers and figures and bring that back to the city commission.
I think that's what from conversation, if there's no interest in a motion to give you a specific one of those multiple different items, then yes, it sounds like commission is still interested in pursuing
Okay.
a wide swath of topics. And if there's any other topics that you feel worthwhile bringing to our attention, I believe the commission would probably be interested in that as well.
Okay, understood. I'll take that as direction to try to structure this as best as I can to offer as much information on each of these options to the city commission and come back to you as soon as I possibly can.
Gotcha. A further work session would be the best item there then.
Perfect. All right.
Okay. Okay. Well, in that case, we can end number 8 With no action taken, discussion occurred. Number 6, Axon Technology. Manager DeSense, if you would give us a brief reminder of what this is.
Yep, absolutely. Just give me 1 second to jump to that portion of the report. Yep, so staff is requesting authorization for the renewal of contract with Axon Technology. Axon provides service and hardware for body camera systems used by our police officers. They're the nation's leading provider, and their proprietary software is truly unmatched in the industry. The proposed contract is for 10 years at an annual rate of $95,000 per year, which reflects a 0% increase over that period of time. This price outfits each officer with body-worn camera and software support.
Perfect, thank you. So I requested this item moved out of the consent agenda, so it's all right. I'm just going to add a few questions. The Axon Technology cameras that we have, body cameras that we currently have, were purchased utilizing 2% grant funding, if I'm not mistaken, from the tribe.
A combination of grant funding and Michigan Municipal Risk Management funds.
Gotcha. The proposed contract that we have is for, was it a 5-year period? And it starts in 2030.
And initially, yes, it was a 5-year period.
Okay.
This gives us an opportunity to extend it to 2036.
Okay, so this contract that we'd be approving this evening would be 2030 to 2036 or 2031 to 20?
It would actually take effect in this year and then continue us through 2036 with no price increases, flat amount.
Gotcha. Before this, did we have a body camera system, or was this the first introduction of the body camera system?
No, this was our first introduction into body camera system. We did have several different vendors for in-car camera systems.
Gotcha. Okay. And then one big question for myself, just because as I was doing some research with the company, they offer a variety of different packages. This the Axon Technology, they handle a lot of different information for us with our public safety department. They, again, being a recording device, it takes in a lot of information. And I know like their services utilize it's an up and coming technology. It's everywhere. It utilizes AI in different capacities. Beyond currently our usage of it beyond camera recording, what does our current usage of the technology look like?
Well, number one, it's evidence gathering. So the cameras are always on in any citizen contact that we have. So we use them for training. We use them as evidence. We use them when there's citizen complaints, tactics. I mean, there's a lot of different uses for them.
Gotcha. Given the information that they take in, is it do we store it like privately? Is it stored like accessible or stored like through Axon services?
Correct. They have a cloud service, and then our information is stored and backed up multiple times through our contract agreement. Only we have access to it.
Gotcha. Now, kind of the thing that I'm curious about, again, it's a new technology, so we're all new if you ask a professional in the field. 2026 is the year of AI and questions about AI. They store it on secure servers that they have.
Mm-hmm.
How does our contract lay out how that information is utilized by them? So like it's held securely, but they still have access to the technology.
I mean, I guess I would be a fool not to think that they have access about it or concerning it, but they can't release it. They can't, I mean, I'm sure deep down they have an IT person that could view it if they really wanted to. But ultimately the information is ours.
Okay. And that's what I like to hear.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
It's our information.
Okay.
And we determine when it gets released, who it gets released to, applying applicable laws and whatnot, FOIA, evidence, that sort of thing. So I know that I told Manager DeSenz that when you see these, real live TV shows, and if you look in the upper right-hand corner, predominantly you'll see Axon, their logo, because their product is unbelievable. And I just reminded him that that isn't Axon giving it to those TV stations or whoever's producing that is the police department doing it and giving it to them.
Okay.
Just,
Yeah, Vice Mayor.
okay. So, Director Loria, the mayor asked the question that stuck on my mind, which is, where this is stored and the certainty that Axon or whoever is at the other end will not release the information to anybody else without your consent. I'm going to assume that what you just said to us in terms of ownership and when and how to release the information, that language is in the contract that we're signing with them.
It is that the information is owned, the data that is stored within their system is property of the city of Mount Pleasant.
So this language is
Yes.
in the contract?
Yes.
Because I haven't seen the contract
Yeah.
itself. Okay,
That's the way they all are laid out.
okay. I'm gonna just trust what you said to me.
And I know, I don't want to get too far into the weeds, but I mean, yeah, there's possible being hacked and all that in today's day and age, but Axon would not be a reputable vendor or business if they have released information without authorization. They just turn people back to the department.
Okay,
So they've never breached that trust.
Okay.
Ever.
all right. Okay, I trust you, and if you trust them, I'm gonna have to trust them through you.
I had, unless there was other, yeah.
I would like to motion that the city commission authorize Director Loria to enter into the agreement with Axon through December 1st, 2036.
I'll second it.
Okay. There's a motion to approve the contract as presented and to approve the contract as presented by Commissioner Perschbacher, seconded by Vice Mayor Eke. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the contract, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes. Okay, that brings us into announcements on city-related issues and new business. We will start with Commissioner Al Sager.
I'm happy that a few questions I asked before the meeting, they all got answered.
Okay. Commissioner Demoroff.
I got to attend the Council of Governments last Wednesday, and Karen Jackson, the Registrar of Deeds for the county, gave a very informative presentation about fraud and the legislation that's being passed in the state to try to prevent it. So it's very informational.
Perfect, thank you. Let's see, Vice Mayor Eke.
Nothing.
Commissioner Perschbacher.
Well, I want to remind everyone that Mount Pleasant still has a leash law. Please have your dogs on a leash. I think it's great when people are able to train off leash, but you cannot out-train instinct. So please keep your dogs on leash when they are in public areas. I'd also like to, I want to pass out this to the commission. I feel that transparency is most important responsibility of elected officials. By abstaining from a vote, it is sometimes appropriate. Well, it's sometimes appropriate, particularly when there's a conflict of interest or appearance of impropriety exists. An unexplained abstention can leave to public uncertain about the commissioner's purpose or position on an issue. Lately, we've had a couple of abstains to votes. A yes vote signals that you support. A no vote signals that you're in opposition. An abstention signals non-participation. When there's no explanation provided, residents are left to wonder whether the abstention was due to conflict, lack of information, procedural concerns, or disagreement with the proposal. To promote transparency, I previously emailed a suggestion about adding an agenda item to the beginning of the commission meetings that would allow commissioners to voluntarily disclose any potential conflicts, concerns, or reasons they may choose not to participate or on a particular item. The purpose was not to limit abstentions, but to provide greater clarity and accountability to the public. Now, good governance is not just about meeting legal requirements. It's about ensuring that residents can understand how and why decisions are made. Even when not required, a brief explanation of an abstention can strengthen public trust and confidence in local government. I have passed out to the commission the email that I had sent out earlier. It was quite a couple of months ago. The proposed language that I would like added to the agenda would be commissioners are asked to disclose any potential conflicts of interest or matters in which they may have a personal, financial, or professional interest that could result in a personal gain or loss related to the items on the agenda. Any commissioner identifying such a conflict may state the nature of the conflict, recuse themselves from the discussion and voting on the relevant agenda item. Commissioners may also choose to recuse themselves when participation could create the appearance of impropriety or compromise public confidence in the commission's decision-making. I would like to, if possible, put this on the agenda for next month or I guess it would be next month, to discuss placing this on the agenda, because I do believe that transparency in lieu of everything that is going on politically is very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Rollins.
I have nothing.
Okay, thank you. Okay, lastly, myself, I actually have several items this evening. First is that the Appointments Committee is currently seeking applicants for an opening on the Zoning Board of Appeals. This would be for a partial term expiring 12/31/2027. The Zoning Board hears appeals on decisions regarding enforcement of the zoning ordinances of the City of Mount Pleasant. You can go online through the City of Mount Pleasant's webpage and input your application information through there and indicate that you are interested in applying. Let's see. Next item I had, just as a bit of fun historical point of interest for members of the commission, we are going to be having friends arriving here this week. The delegation from Okaya, Japan, our sister city, will be attending us on Friday. They'll be arriving. We're excited to meet with all of them. Just as, again, interesting historical point, I recently came into possession of the mayor's gavel of a Mr. J. Dean Eckersley. He was a former mayor for the city of Mount Pleasant for the years 1964, 65, and 66. And he was mayor at the time that we began our sister city relationship. So I am actually using that gavel today in honor of our sister city relationship with Okaya, Japan. Item on the agenda, or not on the agenda, I just wanted to, purposes of clarity and transparency, we traditionally would be expecting our annual audit at this time. The agenda wanted to check in with staff that we could receive just an update on that process there.
Absolutely.
Manager Sims.
Yeah, absolutely. So with our finance director currently out on maternity leave, things did not wrap up in time as we had initially anticipated. Normally our audit would be due by June 30th. We're filing with the state for an extension that will take us to the end of July.
Okay. Have we finished finalizing that extension? application.
There was an issue with the state's website, and I got bounced around to some folks in IT, but I did get a solution email today, and I will be filing the appropriate paperwork tomorrow morning.
Okay, thank you. Along with that, also an item which didn't show up on the agenda this evening. We had been considering an easement agreement with Consumers Energy, and I ultimately had pointed out that the easement would have gone through some park property for the city. And I just felt it important to emphasize for members of the commission and city staff that per the city charter, we cannot part with park property or property within a distance of the Chippewa River or its tributaries without taking that vote to the people. I think it's, again, just in anything we're doing, the observance of charter action or what is dictated by the charter is important for us to consider. Just again, it was something where, you know, it was a moment of late night reading when I, again, was reminded of that issue, and we had to strike that easement from, or that easement agreement from the agenda. Last item that I wanted to just bring up as a topic of conversation and something I'll share some more information with to members of the commission of that as I've been reading on it. Earlier this evening, we were talking about AI, or I was talking about AI with Axon camera technologies, talking about new and emerging technologies, something that has been becoming rapidly more in the public spotlight within state of Michigan in local government is expansion of data centers throughout the state, specifically hyperscale data centers, very massive facilities. They consume a large amount of energy, oftentimes a large amount of water, and they have a lot, and they raise a lot of concerns for members of the community. I think people in Mount Pleasant are have rightful concerns. People across the state have rightful concerns. Big thing as I've been reading about it are, as I understand it, I'm not the city attorney, but as I understand it, the Zoning Enabling Act that enables us to have zoning laws to dictate different uses throughout the city, throughout the community, prevents us from being able to, you know, explicitly bar a use of this type. That's something that as I've been reading just articles from Michigan Municipal League, Michigan Planning Association, it's seeming like it's seeming that an outright ban on a use such as a data center could potentially be not on good legal ground of good legal standing, but people are addressing the fact that most zoning codes within and ordinances within Michigan don't actually address this type of technology. It would otherwise just fall under, you know, the use of a warehouse. Where could you center a warehouse within the city? It's an issue that I think it would be important for the city commission to pursue in examining how does our zoning ordinance and does it, I don't believe it does, but how does it address this type of technology, this type of land use? Again, because of the intensity of its use and the impact it can have on the local area, I think that's a topic we should start to look to consider and discuss further as a commission. Again, not looking for action at this time, but just wanted to bring it up as something that I've been concerned about. And I will work on just sharing some of the information that I've been reviewing with members of the commission, potentially get that on the agenda in the near future. Okay, that was the last item for myself. At this time, we'll move into public comments on agenda and non-agenda items. If you are a member of the public and would like to comment on any item on or off the agenda, please step up to the microphone. Please do not be afraid to form a queue. When it's your time to speak, please state your name and address for the record. And if you are on Zoom, please use the raised hand function to indicate you'd like to speak. And we'll start with the in-person speakers lined up at the podium.
Hello, my name is Joseph Carrion. I live on 109 North Arnold Street, and wow, I wasn't expecting that, Commissioner Frischbacher. Because my complaint today is towards the ZBA, specifically towards Board Member Strussman. His vote last month was in clear violation of malfeasance which is illegal according to our Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. On Wednesday, May 27th, two of our public hearings were about a variance on promotional flags being displayed at GMC dealerships. During these public hearings, Stressman put himself in a situation where his personal interests interfered with his duties. Nothing about his vote followed the law or the ZBA handbook. It is important that the citizens view the Zoning Board of Appeals as an open, fair, and deliberative body with emphasis on fair. During the deliberation, Stressman made it clear that his vote was the furthest from fair. Stressman's only reason for voting in favor of the appeal was simply because he used to work in the same field and understood the struggle. In no way, shape, or form did Stressman even try to address any of the actual problems. Nothing about Stressman's vote showed that he would vote the same if any other industry asked for the same variance. What if Bee's Music Shop asked for promotional flags? What if Jar's Cannabis needed flags? Would he vote the same way? Because from my point of view, it sounds like dealerships can ask for anything and Stressman would always vote in favor of them, regardless of how unfair it is to others. So do you see how this falls under malfeasance? Now, the law states that such offense may result in removal. I want to make it clear I'm not asking for that. In fact, I believe terminating Stressman would cause more problems than anything, as that would lead to future board members to remain silent during deliberation, which is very clear none of us want that. But illegal votes shouldn't be allowed either. We need to foster a level of professionalism where all members and commissioners feel safe enough to really share how they feel during deliberation. But we also need to foster a level of professionalism where everyone can spot these issues and, more importantly, call out these issues in real time to stop members from voting illegally in the first place. As commissioners, you all should have the professionalism to have each other's back, regardless if you agree with one another. But there has to be a hard line for overstepping the law. And that is the same standard we should expect with our ZBA. See, the problem isn't just Stressman as much as it is the entire board letting him vote the way he did. The ZBA failed Stressman. That's not to excuse what Stressman did, but we all make mistakes. We're all human. If you watch that recording, you can see I have a clear bias towards that dealerships, as one of the dealerships is in front of my home, and the last thing I want is another empty business in front of my home. I want to make it clear that having a bias towards an industry you worked in your entire life isn't malfeasance alone. The problem is that Stressman believed his bias was the only reason he needed to vote the way he did. Stressman's bias, again, is not the problem, but one should be motivated to actually research the issue and actually bring a real argument to the table. Otherwise, you're better off recusing yourself. The people of Mount Pleasant deserve a board that is open and fair, especially one that can identify when it's not being open and fair. I expect there to be some kind of investigation on this matter, and I expect the ZBA to make a public statement about this, one that acknowledges Stressman's vote was in fact in clear violation of malfeasance, one that acknowledges no one stopped him, and one that acknowledges this type of action will not happen again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bailey and I live at 712 Edgewood Drive, and my public comment today is on you guys. I have read this week's packet. I have read all the packets for the past few months now, for the past couple years. And the more and more I am starting to realize is how little our elected city commissioners seem to give any care about us, about our community. And I'm not saying that it's all of you guys, but if you think that I'm talking about you, then I probably am. I don't think I need to be the one to say this. You guys are all very intelligent people, and you guys are all way older than me, so you understand this way better than me. But we are real people. We have families, we have jobs, we have the economy to worry about, we have our homes and our livelihoods. And every decision that you guys make, every word you say matters to all of us, even if it doesn't seem like it. Our economy is weak right now, our president is a joke, and there's a global energy crisis that is about to sweep the world, and we're not prepared. It feels as you guys genuinely don't give a fuck about us. I know that I wish, and so many others wish, that our city commissioners would focus a bit more on us, the people that are struggling to survive. But instead, you guys have been arguing about chickens. You guys have been arguing about pardoning a bear. You guys have been arguing about the silliest little things when there is so much more important things that need to be done right now. Everything that you guys do is important, and I want you guys to realize we are watching you. We are listening to you, looking to you guys for leadership. You guys are important, and we realize that we need you guys, but we need you guys to also need us. The less energy you continue to direct towards us, the less energy you continue to direct towards your community, the more and more we're gonna suffer. I want you guys to know that some of you guys aren't gonna be in your seats forever. This November, there are a lot of people that are upset and a lot of people that really just want somebody to listen. And so I'm giving you guys all advice. Please start listening to your constituents. Thank you.
Hello, I hope this doesn't bend the rules too much, but my name is Marja Notstein. I live at 1361 South Crawford. As you should know, I'm very interested in affordable housing for Mount Pleasant. I thought that the Mount Pleasant Center property was not usable for housing, so I didn't even think about it. But I still want you to consider the southwest corner property at Crawford and Broomfield as the most viable property for housing at the present time. I think that the private school leadership should be told to look elsewhere to build. Right across from the Victory Church on Lincoln Road is beautiful land for sale. On M20, more large tracts of land are for sale, all with Mount Pleasant addresses. We need city property for building homes and additional revenue for the city tax base. And I am not financially benefiting from this opinion.
My name's Alice Chico. I live at 419 South Fancher, and I think I have 3 or 4 things, all disparate. I wasn't going to come up, but first I'll talk about data centers. So I'm not sure we can do anything about zoning. If you can, that's awesome. My son-in-law works for Amazon and he builds data centers. So I have asked him what we can do in our community to prevent data centers from coming, and he said nothing. However, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, they all insist on an NDA. So if we can prevent NDAs from being signed, which we should, because the city should do nothing that is hidden from the people. So if you guys are unable to enter into an NDA, that would prevent a data center. And I think that that would be advisable. My son-in-law would also never want to live near one. You can hear them from a mile away. They are trying to mitigate that. They haven't figured it out yet. So data centers are not desirable at all. A couple times today, I've heard about vacant housing, and actually every meeting you guys talk about not vacant housing, the lack of housing and the need for housing. Vacant buildings in this city seem to me available. What is going on with SBX, that old building on Preston? It's been there for at least 20 years. It's been vacant. Why is there not an ordinance? And actually I looked up, I think there's an ordinance about vacant buildings. I don't know that you're not allowed to keep them or maintain them. Why don't we have an ordinance that said there cannot be any building vacant or undeveloped or being unimproved for, 24 months? I don't know what's going on with that. It's prime spot. It could be housing. It could be commercial. If it's not zoned housing, rezone it. I mean, how hard can that be? Rezone the damn thing and put houses in there. What's going on with that store next to Sleepy Dog? I think 10 years it's been vacant. I don't know what's going on. They repaper the walls to make it look like stuff's happening. But I've seen nothing going in there. I can't even remember what was in that store. And I remember Ken's Men's, so I've been around a while. So consider an ordinance to not allow vacant buildings, because that could be used for something better. And at the risk of angering Bailey, although one of the things we can do to improve the city is public art. And by that, if you've ever been to Seattle, it is full of public art. And that was because in 1972, King County put in an ordinance that said 1% of all projects have to be set aside for public art. So anytime somebody's renovating a building, or we're putting in, so, I mean, even the city putting in a park, not even a park that's already there, but something else, you've got to set 1% aside for public art. So if you've got a warehouse and you're renovating it to store RVs in, you still got to put in public art, and that's how you get, you know, metal salmon fish swimming down the cyclone fence, and it looks awesome. And little by little, we'll get more public art. We will feed our local artists, we'll feed our soul, and we'll make it an interesting place to come. So those are my 3 ideas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Fabian Martinez. I am a resident at 602 West Broomfield Street, and I'm here as a private citizen. I'm here to speak in support of the Tenants' Rights Commission. This commission would provide 58% of our city's population a voice here at City Hall and a forum to discuss housing issues impacting renters in town. As we look towards the future of Mount Pleasant, it would be short-sighted to not include the majority of the city when discussing pressing topics like housing. Providing an avenue for renters to understand their rights as residents, foster communication between them and their landlords, and giving renters that forum missing from Mount Pleasant, it can provide a positive impact, economic impact, and integration of that 58% into our community. A stable and safe living environment is essential for families who choose to remain here long-term. If those residents' collective concerns have no viable entry for consideration here at City Hall, the result is our housing will become to resemble a revolving door. This revolving door incentivizes further development of short-term rentals, further dwindling the housing stock available for willing residents to purchase. This undermines our community as well. Without stable housing, our neighbors cannot foster cooperation and trust as residents will come and go. For language our city administrators can understand, no persons mean no money. No family would bet their future here if they were felt they were not taken into consideration if they were a renter. No industry would set up here, a shop here, since potential workers refuse to live in the area. And no investors will build homes since their primary clientele isn't available. Community decisions shockingly require the community input. In the grand scheme of things, for our community to move forward, and for the community to participate in general, the Tenants' Rights Commission would address the needs of 58% that aren't currently being met. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any raised hands on Zoom? Are there any additional emails?
No emails.
Okay, not seeing anyone else rushing up. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment on agenda and non-agenda items. We have 2 items remaining this evening. We have a work session on the Consumers Energy Renewable Energy Program. And then we have closed session that we will go into. I'm not going to read the whole thing right now. Meantime, interest in a recess?
Yep, please.
Gotcha. Let's see, it is 5 minutes? Are we good?
10.
Gotcha, yeah.
We get 5 minutes between work and.
Gotcha. It is 8:09 right now. We are going to resume at 8:19. Sustainability Coordinator Mason Squillets Peterson. If you wanted to get started there.
I gotta do something over here.
No, you're good, Mason. Let's see, just giving a brief introduction on this while Mason's finishing pulling this up.
Manager DeSenza.
Oh, Manager DeSenza is back in the room. Manager, if there was any introduction you wanted to give for our sustainability coordinator here.
Mason, no, he needs no introduction. We need Mason.
We know Mason.
Mason has done such a great job with these presentations every single time. So yeah, so Mason Squills Peterson, our sustainability coordinator, he's just going to do a presentation to us, giving us some information on a really great program through consumers on renewable energy. Essentially, it offers municipalities the ability to purchase energy that is dedicated towards from renewable resources. So he's going to talk about the benefits of that program, talk a little bit about just some things to consider, some trade-offs, and want to get some information from the City Commission here as far as your interest in participating in this program, what that interest level may be, and any directives towards staff in engaging in the program. I understand we also have a representative from consumers here as well too, so should we have very particular questions, we do have someone who can answer those as well.
Right, thank you, Aaron. Yeah, the renewable energy program through Consumers Energy. It's a subscription-based program. Any city-owned building or facility can subscribe to it, and it can be a portion or all of our electricity needs for the city. And any account that the city has is eligible except for streetlights. There's also a 1 million kilowatt hour minimum to be eligible for the program. Right now, we're in the 4 million-ish a year. The last 12 months was 4.1 million, so 1 million is more than enough for us. And that 1 million can go towards one facility or an aggregate of multiple facilities to get to that 1 million kilowatt minimum. And the current program locks in 6.5 cents, $0.064 per kilowatt hour for the entire duration of the contract. And those contracts are in 5, 10, 15, or 20 years. And right now, I have an asterisk right there because the price is subject to change until we sign that. So right now, it is that 6.5 cents, but that could change in the time it would take to where if we wanted to go with this, it might. Our bills will look pretty normal. There's just going to be a section at the bottom that says how much that energy would cost us. And then it will either show a credit or a premium. And that's based on how much energy is generated, how the market at that time, the energy market. And the short-term projections show more premiums on the bill, but as you go into those longer-term credits, which we'll get into later, what that will look like, you do get some pretty significant cost savings on that. Right now, the program starts in 2028, but it might get pushed to 2029. It depends on when that facility will be done. There's about 20 megawatts left, which is more than enough for Mount Pleasant. And just some current participants in the program is the state of Michigan. They got some buildings that are on this, the city of Kalamazoo, city of Grand Rapids and East Grand Rapids, Firekeepers Casino, Michigan State University, General Motors, and Walmart. There's a bunch of other customers, but these are some pretty big ones in the state that utilize this program. Really quick, some pros and cons with this program. The pros would be it is the quickest and easiest way right now for Mount Pleasant to utilize renewable energy. We were just talking about Mount Pleasant Center property with a solar field. As a sustainability coordinator, I love solar. As someone with indigenous ancestry, I have my own opinions on how that land should be used. So I have very interesting views on how that would look. But this would be a lot easier and a lot cheaper for us to do instead of building a multi-million-dollar solar field. It's cost effective. You don't need no permits to do it. There's no upfront cost with this program. And like I said, there's cost saving in the long term. The solar facility is off-site and is fully managed by Consumers Energy, so you're not gonna have to deal with looking at a big solar field on your drive to work. And also, a big one for me is that this reduces Mount Pleasant's Scope 2 greenhouse emissions, which that Scope 2 means it's the emissions that come from your generation of electricity. If we're reducing the reliance on natural gas from Consumers Energy with renewable energy, that will reduce those CO2 emissions, all the greenhouse gases. There's a bunch of other scopes, but that's just one of the bigger ones, especially for municipal government. There are some cons to this that you have to acknowledge. You have the market price risk. Energy prices change depending on what happens across the world or whatever. We don't know. We can't predict that. So markets could go up, they can go down. And so that price could fluctuate, meaning maybe energy is cheaper than that 6.5 cents. And then we have to deal with paying a little bit more. But sometimes the energy will be way up and we'll be locked in at that 6.5 cents. Another con would be the savings are not seen in the short term. And so you will see those on the bill, but we'll get into what that looks like in a little bit. And then what you could see this one as a con is that the facility is not operational until at least 2028. So we would not be getting renewable energy until then, but we would not be paying anything until then as well. All right. And now we're going to look at some numbers. This would be our participation at 100%. So this would be 4.1 million in the last, 4.1 million kilowatt hours in the last year. That's going to change depending on what year it is. But it's projected that in the first 5 years of a contract, you would be paying a total of $1.3 million. And then that would obviously go up with your 10 and 15. But once you get to the 20 years, they're projecting big energy savings with renewable energy, where we could potentially be saving $5.6 million total. But that would be across the board if we do 100% subscription for this. This is a breakdown into each year. And I do want to say that these projections are using current energy data, scientific data based on renewable energy and natural gas and how the whole energy market works. But it's also through this company called Siemens, which is a neutral third party that does these energy projections. So these numbers are coming from the most up-to-date as of right now that we can project. Obviously, you can't predict the future, but right now, in your first 3 years of the contract, it would be about, you would be getting some premium, or you'd be paying some premiums, but then you get those cost savings in the year 4 and 5. Then in the middle, you're going to have a lot of those premiums. But as you see, once you get to those later terms, you could be saving a lot of money on your monthly bill. Just to break it down, year 1 annual premium would be projected to be $19,441, but that breaks down into a monthly bill of $1,620. That bill is also spread across your accounts that are signed up for this program. So it's not each bill is $1,600 on that. That's the total that all of the accounts that are on it would have to pay. So yes, do you have a question?
Do you know what we're paying now?
I didn't get the total, but I have the total, or I have the year for all of the eligible accounts right here. I do have what we're paying right now on my computer up there. That's a big spreadsheet currently. But I would be able to tell you when we get to the account scenarios of what we could sign up, I could tell you what those averages would look like, what we're paying now per year about.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, and most savings are not seen until your year 14 and 15, and that's just going to go up. Year 20, for example, would break down into $9,733 as a monthly credit on your bill. So we would be saving that much. So that was the numbers for your 100% participation. This would be our cheapest route, would be going with that 1 million kilowatt minimum. The numbers are a lot easier to look at. You would be paying a total of $320,000 over those first 5 years if we were to do a 5-year contract. Oh wait, no, sorry. you'd be paying $6,000. I misspoke, I looked at the wrong number. If you go to the 20-year contract, that'll go to $84,000. So it's really, if you want to start using renewable energy, if you're in it for the money saving, you're gonna wanna go for a 20-year contract. If you wanna go the cheapest route, but still get renewable energy, you wanna do a shorter term, 5-year, maybe 10-year contract. This is just a breakdown of years 1 through 5, and then years 10, 15, and 20. As you can see, year 1 would be about $391 monthly premium on your bill. But once you get to year 5, we could be saving $173 on that bill, and then year 20 up to $2,350. Any questions right now?
Just as we're going through this, do you know the current cost of a kilowatt hour that we're paying for? It's okay. I couldn't find it on my consumer's energy billing statement, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Please keep going, yeah.
So I have a couple different account scenarios on what we could do for this program. In my opinion, this would be the easiest route with doing the wastewater recovery facility. It's our highest energy user, and that means it's our biggest electricity bill. Just for example, in the last 12 months, we've used 1.4 million kilowatt hours at the wastewater facility, and an average of 148,000 kilowatt hours per month. That goes out to an average cost of $20,176 a month. So this would greatly reduce that electricity bill for us. I have it broken down into your annual contract quantity, which would be 1 million as the minimum is, and that goes to the fixed monthly volume of 83,333.3 kilowatt hours per month. And then next scenario would be our top 5 biggest energy users, which is obviously the Worth. There's a water treatment plant well at 1775 East Broomfield. That's our second highest energy user. And both of those would have the annual contract quantity of 320,000 kilowatt hours. And then your next ones would be City Hall, water treatment, and then Department of Public Safety. All of those would be about 120,000 kilowatt hours for the whole year. And you add those all up, that'll hit your 1 million minimum. And like I said before, the premiums and credits would be divided among all of these accounts. It's not that big number for all of them. It's broken down to however much it is contracted for. Next one is accounts that are unlikely to have solar on them due to zoning, cost. We're in a historical building right now. I know there's been talks of putting solar on the roof. Putting solar on a historical building is actually rather difficult. So this would be a one way that we can get solar for this building specifically. All of these are mostly in your percent usage as opposed to a fixed monthly volume, and that's because we wouldn't, until you get to that fixed monthly volume one at the top, we wouldn't reach that 1 million kilowatt minimum. And I have that extra one on there so we can meet that million kilowatt. And the next one we have is facilities that are constantly operating 24/7. You have the Worth, water treatment, and public safety. These are all essential buildings that they're always using energy throughout all day, every day. The Worth would be at 800,000 kilowatt hours per year. Water treatment plant and public safety would be at 100,000. And then you have your top water accounts. I have these on here because these are also still essential, but they're not like buildings that have people in them, but they are very important infrastructure for us. But they also use a lot of energy. So you have the Worth again, one of the wells for the water treatment plant, and then 2 more wells for the water treatment plant. The Worth would be at 480,000 per year. Water treatment plant well, the big one would be 160,000 kilowatt hours a year. Water treatment plant, and those 2 wells would be at 120,000. And then the last one I have is just your main city buildings, your main department buildings, which would be the Works, City Hall, Water Treatment Plant, Public Safety, Public Works, Nelson Park Staff Shop, and then the main airport building. And then the work would be at 500,000 kilowatt hours, City Hall at 260,000, Water Treatment Plant at 100,000, Public Safety at 100,000, Public Works at 25,000, Nelson Park Shop at 10,000, and Airport at 5,000. And those numbers were calculated to the best of my ability based on our average uses throughout the year on that big spreadsheet I was talking about. So they are slightly under what we would be using. So we would still be getting a portion of the energy for all of these account scenarios from natural gas or wherever the non-renewable source is. But a good chunk of that, if not the majority of it, would be coming from the renewable energy source. And that's what I got. Any questions?
Yeah, open it up to members of the commission. Questions at this time?
Yeah, I have a question. Very early, first of all, this is really comprehensive. It's overwhelming for me. A lot of numbers and, good job, good job. So, but I am very supportive of the idea of, sustainability. I've talked to you several times, and using renewable energy or, sources. But you do say earlier, as you were talking about places where we could implement or use the renewable energy, you indicated there was an exception, and the exception you said is street light.
Yeah, so streetlights are not eligible for this account. It has to be facilities and buildings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine.
With streetlights also, they use a lot of energy too, yeah.
That's why I was surprised by that. Okay. So, the options we have are, in terms, are the years that you've listed, 5, 10, 15, or 20.
Mhm.
And from all indications, it seems as if, 20 would be, maybe, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it seems, it suggests that if you really want to benefit from this, 20 is that.
That's what I would say. If you're looking for the cost saving as well as the renewable energy, you're not going to see the cost saving opportunities in those early terms. At least that's what's projected right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you do want to see that credit on the bill, the longer terms are definitely the way to go.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, I'm hearing, that there are we can implement this within some limited, on a limited scope. In other words, some buildings or some units, right? If we don't want to do 100%, like, we want to see what it looks like, we could look at implementing this in some areas, like you pointed out, was it public safety? Why is public safety using so much energy? I understand, Lori, I'm just. Yeah, you need to explain, what do you do with all this energy? Public.
7 days a week, 365 days a year, we never close.
Yeah, in the last 12 months, they used 280,000 kilowatt hours.
Leaving the fridge open or something? Or-
Turn off the lights. I'm sorry, I didn't want to, but that caught my attention. I thought public safety, what are they doing with so much light? But you're saying, okay, so water treatment and public safety, safety, you're saying, we could at least do those.
Yeah, so we can do those, but so your top 5, it's not gonna go back. If you go to the top 5 accounts, it's in that order of what is the highest energy users. So number 3 is actually this building, followed by water treatment plant and then public safety. But I will say
Oh, sorry.
Public safety and water treatment plant are fairly similar-ish. It'll fluctuate throughout the year, but it's pretty similar.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is quite interesting. I'm just thinking of how we can do this. I would like us to implement this in some form, but my colleagues are here. We can have a conversation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Other members, Commissioner Al Sager.
I appreciate your research and it sounds like a good plan to invest in.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Okay. I'm gonna jump in with some questions. I think it's slide 4 that you had. It's the participation at 100% subscription, is what I'm looking for. I just want to make sure I'm understanding of the information there.
Is it the big graph or the small graph?
The one before the big graph.
Okay, yeah.
The one that's not as scary to look
Yeah.
at. Yeah.
The one that has
Yeah.
the colors.
Yeah, so our regular, currently, assuming we aren't adding on any new buildings, we're not bringing in, we're not building our own data center that the city owns. Our average annual kilowatt hours use is 4.1 million kilowatt
So-
hours is, or
That
eligible.
Yeah, so that 4.1 is specifically, and Ryan can correct me if this is wrong, is it in the last 12 months? Like from June of this year to last year?
Sorry. Yes, the data that Mason is going off of is the last 12-month annual data usage. And that data usage is specifically just for the eligible accounts for the renewable program.
Okay. So working with that, then, as I'm looking at this, I'm seeing the 20 years. Over that 20 years, we would, based off of the last 12 months, we're projecting that we'd be using about 82.8 million kilowatt hours over that 20-year period. And that would cost us about $5.3 million. Am I reading that correctly?
Actually
Yeah.
not. So let me, so the amount of money and credits you would receive for the city of Mount Pleasant would be $348,000 if you were to do the 20-year program. So if you look at the right across where it says net savings and premium. So that's what I call the bottom line. So to participate in the 5-year program, where you will be getting 100% of your energy for all of those accounts that are on that list from a clean, renewable wind or solar site, would cost the city $28,000. Year 10, it would, you're looking at, it would be total for 10 years, that 58,000, and then 15 years, 65,000. And then that 15 to 20 year mark, that is when the forecasted pricing of the energy really changes based on that Siemens market data that Mason explained, where you would see overall for the 20 years, you would be forecasted a profit or a credit of $348,000, all while getting clean, green, renewable energy for that entire duration.
Could you clarify what the subscription payments are for me in this chart?
Absolutely. So I think it would be not on this specific chart, but this other one.
So in the 5 years in red, $1,325,430 subscription payments over a 5-year period.
So this one here actually will break it down into year by year. So if you're looking at year 1, 2028, the amount of KWH subscribed is that 4.1 million KWH. Your subscription cost is $265,000 per year. The next line is that blue colored chart right there. That is your energy and capacity credits. So that is the money that is generated from the solar and wind sites, the money that offsets your subscription cost, and then you are left with that annual net premium or savings. And so in year one, it would be approximately $19,441 to have all of your energy from the renewable source. Where in year two, you can see it's only $7,000. Then, of course, if you look further down the path, in year 18, you're actually getting a credit on your bills, years 15 through 20. Yes.
Gotcha. So.
Did that make sense?
So if I look at this,
Mm-hmm.
year one, 2028, the subscription cost is $265,086.
Correct.
That's the subscription cost. So,
Mhm.
and so if I were to multiply that by 5,
Yeah,
that gives me the $1,325,430
bingo.
in the chart we were just looking at that I was asking about.
That is correct.
Okay. So looking at this, the subscription cost is the actual amount, not that, like, ignoring that we're going to get something back or we may or may not get something back. That's the actual cost of it.
That is correct.
And then after that, yeah, you're factoring in, like, are we actually making any money or are we saving any money? So what I'm building towards here is that, the first 15 years of this, if we did participation at 100% for 20 years, 5 years is the net savings or premium, it's negative 28,000. So we're spending an extra, it's 28,000. Year 10, 58,000, 15, 65,000. So over that 15 years, is that, looking at 15 years there, the $65,622, is that for just that plan? Is that?
That is correct for the 15th year. Yeah.
Okay, so working with this, then we're not making savings year over year. It is just at a certain point, it starts to kick in.
It's
Thank you.
cumulative.
Yes, it's cumulative. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out is Mason had covered it, but what's great about the Consumers Energy Renewable Energy Program is that it's flexible. You can have a fixed amount of energy subscribed, or you can pick a specific number of energy that you would like subscribed. So if the city of Mount Pleasant would like to be 100% renewable, you can do that. If you would like to maybe just dip your toes in it and go 50% renewable, you can do that. Or if you want to just pick your top 5 biggest accounts and make sure that those accounts are powered by 100% renewable energy, you can do that as well. This has been a very popular program. Again, Mason had mentioned the city of Kalamazoo, which is subscribed for the 20-year program at 100% renewable. The city of Grand Rapids signed the very next day, or it could have been one or the other. Don't quote me on that, but it's a great program. And then also in the future, if you are wanting to add your own solar to various areas, you can also do that. That works with this program as well. So it's not a all or nothing program. It's just a program that Consumers Energy offers to assist municipalities, corporations in their sustainability goals.
Okay. Other questions? Commissioner Alsager.
So if we were to build a solar field on the property that we've been talking about, maybe that could give us enough energy to power the streetlights.
Maybe. I will note with putting your own solar on sites, again, there's always that upfront cost and capital.
Right.
And depending on how much energy you need,
Yes.
depends on how big that site is.
Yes.
I think it's you need about an acre or more to power just a small little, and so at Consumers Energy, that subscription price, that 0.064 cents per kWh that he talked about, by signing the program, you're locking into that price for the duration of the contract. And that price includes the cost of construction for Consumers Energy to build it on your behalf, the cost of us to maintain that facility, and the cost of us decommissioning that facility at the end of the life cycle. And then we provide you with all of the renewable energy attestation annually to the sustainability manager.
How much are we currently paying for kilowatt hour?
I would have to, rates are a little bit more complicated because all of your accounts on several different rates. Some of them are on time of usage rates, some of them are on primary voltage rates. So it varies quite a bit. But this program doesn't affect your bill, doesn't affect your rates, doesn't change anything. This is just an added on subscription that we are giving you 100% renewable energy on top of your regular bill, just to be clear.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, unless, yeah.
I think there are many of us that are in favor of renewable energy.
Yeah, it's a great program, and I commend the city of Mount Pleasant for hiring Mr. Mason over here as a sustainability manager. I've been working with him for some time now, and as well as Jason in the past, and with some of our other programs, such as our energy efficiency programs. I had the opportunity to visit the public safety building some months ago, and I can tell you they are very energy efficient there. Although the bills might be high, they are pretty solid with the upgraded lighting and everything like that. And so those are some other things that I work with him and save money for the city, such as also our demand response program, which saves the city a significant amount of money. So Mason's doing a great job.
You just saved Paul, right?
Yeah, and I don't even know him.
Don't say it, you just saved Director Lauria.
Any other questions at this time on this? Talking about this myself, back in 2023, I was a strong proponent of our environmental or our climate change preparedness plan that was put in motion as part of our goals and objectives to develop. And I would be very much in favor of doing 100% investment into this. What I am concerned about is also just making sure we're being clear to the public on the returns on this. Because again, just as much as I know that this is a good idea, I want to make sure that we're communicating that effectively to the public. So being able to explain, we're going to pay an extra X amount of dollars anticipated for our energy for the next 15 years, but we know that going forward from there, we'll start seeing savings. I campaigned on long-term investments for the city. So again, this is something I'm very much interested in seeing. But I do think it is important that the commission does our due diligence to, again, illustrate what those costs would actually be. So that is where my line of questioning comes from. At this time, unless there's any other questions from members of the commission, I think there has been general interest expressed in the Consumers Energy Renewable Energy Program, and we could probably expect to see some further action and information on that going forward. Any questions from staff that you would like follow up on?
Yeah, if I could just get a little bit more information from the city commission. Is the interest in the program primarily led by a investment in renewable energy, or is it primarily led by some of the cost savings that has been shown, a mixture of such? Does the city commission have an interest in greater, as I had outlined in my memo, there are certain risks that are attributed to being part of the program. And certainly the longer you go, the longer out, I think that some of those risks are there. However, also the longer out you go, the more of a return you can get on this kind of a program. So I'm just hoping that the city commission can maybe illuminate a little bit more what they're thinking. I certainly hear loud and clear the interest in renewable energy, but I just want to understand where the city commission's mindset is with this.
Commissioner Alsager.
I'd say both the renewable and the energy savings and the long-term and the 100%.
Myself also.
Yeah, me too. I think it's worth doing, you know. Um, we have a, we have a stated goal of, sustainability. It's part of our, it's in our strategic goal, and it's come up several times in various ways. And you've got a sustainability manager or coordinator here. So we need to, at least be in compliance with our own strategic goals and our own statements. It is worth pursuing.
Did I hear percentages out of individuals? I'm not sure if I heard that or not. If there's a percentage in mind of the total portfolio that the city commission would be interested in participating?
I'm thinking that, if we're gonna do this, we should just do it at the 100%. Unless, we have objections. I mean, it seems to me that that's where both the cost savings and, the impact, long-term impact is felt.
I would say 100%.
Other members of the commission, interest in percentages?
100.
100.
I mean, if we're gonna go all in, let's go all in.
Yeah.
I mean,
To mitigate risk, something I talked with Ryan about, and then Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, or if this changes at all, but I had discussed the concept of potentially laddering this deal if we were interested in something like that. So for instance, you would take our 4 million kilowatt and change portfolio and you would structure it in quarters essentially. Certain 25% of it dedicated to a 5-year deal, 25% of it dedicated to a 10-year deal, 15 and 20 and so forth. That allows the city the continued flexibility in the future where after 5 years you have 25% of the portfolio rolling off. You could look to a future project and investing in a future project allows us to stay a little bit more mobile while still committing our portfolio to 100% renewable energy. Correct me if is that still on the table?
That is correct. That is part of our program is that it's flexible and you can definitely do that.
Okay.
Is this built around the single field that is being developed or like the single projects that are currently being worked on right now? Again, I believe we're talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, a single solar field that's being developed that is going to be handling these different energy costs?
Yep, so this specific one is being constructed in the Southwest Michigan area. And the program, as Mason had stated, is close to capacity. And so the pricing that he spoke about is only valid until that facility is full. And there's only 20 megawatts available or so left. And so that pricing is good until that is filled. That's why this program is on a first come, first served basis. So the sooner the better, I would suggest, as we are getting lower on the amounts there.
And a contract like this, if we did find that, like, for whatever reason, technology doesn't hold up as well as we were hoping, or, the cost of natural gas plummets for some reason, and we just decide that the cost is just not it can't sustain it anymore. Avenues for are there avenues to change where our energy comes from? With the again, we'd be signing a contract, a subscription to this, conditions under which that subscription could be changed or altered, I guess.
Once the contract is signed, whether you pick the 5, 10, 15, or 20, it's locked in for the duration of the contract. But again, the energy that you get is certified renewable from wind or solar. So it doesn't affect natural gases or anything like that.
I will also say we could potentially go for like a 10-year contract, and then if we wanted to re-sign to extend it, if we liked the program, we can then extend it to that full 20-year. But that doesn't guarantee the price. The price might change if you have to re-sign it.
Gotcha. Commissioner Demerol.
This is specific on one solar field. Will this be a program that you continue as you build other solar fields as well, or?
As in, will we continue to offer the renewable
Like,
energy
once the
program?
capacity of this is done and say you build another solar field, is this something that you will then?
So I believe this is our fifth one. So, oh yeah, this is not the first rodeo. General Motors was actually the first customer in our program. They needed renewable energy. They were limited on their space, and they had sustainability goals and things that they needed to meet. And so that was kind of the birth of our renewable energy program. And then we found out that many people were very interested in the program: municipalities, retail stores, agricultural, folks that have sustainability goals and also metrics that they need to meet. So as long as there is that demand, we're absolutely happy to provide services that assist communities with their sustainability goals.
Thank you.
Great question.
Personally, my interest is in 100% start it sooner rather than later. That is my personal interest. You're the fiduciary of the city. I just want to make sure that like we have cost projections in front of us of, again, we can't account for every single eventuality. There's tornadoes more and more now, and even in Michigan. So working with all this, I'd be interested in pursuing 100% subscription to the program for, full 20 years. But I imagine along with that, we could just as easily like obtain a laddered approach, like as Manager DeSenza is suggesting, of what cost estimates on that could potentially look like. I think that's again, communicating to the public. I think there's many members of the public who will understand the importance of this transition, but also to make sure we're speaking to everyone in the public, we also have to speak with our pocketbook. So that is my thought process there on that. Other members of the commission, questions or comments? Staff, do you have information you're looking for to proceed at this time?
Is there any further interest in the sort of proposal that I put forward? Should I bring that proposal forward for the city commission to consider? And then you could weigh out the 20 years at 100% versus the sort of 25-25-25-25 plan that I have.
I would like comparison.
Yeah, I don't mind seeing the comparison.
Okay.
But the issue then is he's telling us, how it sounds as if this is time sensitive too. What are we looking at?
I
Well,
think
I can personally have that breakdown for the city manager by the end of the week.
Okay.
Perfect.
I would think on this that, again, it's time sensitive, yes, but if a work session results in only one option that we're interested in, did we not make a decision during a work session? So I think having multiple options for the members of the commission to consider, so that way we can make an official decision during normal session, during regular session. I think that is an important thing for us to consider there.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Other questions, comments at this time while we're on the topic? Not seeing any. I'm going to thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Good
I'm going to
job.
go ahead and
Thank
close
you.
the work session. Okay, we have one final item on the agenda. It is closed session. We will need a motion to go into closed session with a roll call vote. Assuming that the vote passes, I don't want to preclude anything, but we'll take a 5-minute recess to allow the clearing of the chamber. But is
I
there,
move we go into closed session.
you need to say the whole thing.
Oh, I can do that. Pursuant to subsection 8C of the Open Meetings Act for strategy and negotiation sessions connected with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Alsager to go into closed session for stated reasons, seconded by Commissioner Rollins. All those in favor of the motion will say aye when called upon. All those, yeah, when called upon. Yep, so Clerk Schmelzer, if you'll call.
Commissioner Rollins,
Yes.
Commissioner Alsager,
Yes.
Commissioner Demarath,
Here, yes.
Commissioner Furstenbacher,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Eke,
Yes.
Mayor Wingard.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, we are going to be moving into closed session. We'll have a 5-minute recess. We'll resume a closed session at 9:10. Anyone who is not supposed to be here, please vacate space.
So thanks for answering the question.
PM, and it still looks like 5 PM.